Welcome to the Screen Crush Break Room. I'm Ryan Arey, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 2. The episode begins with John Walker in his old high school locker room. His hometown is the same as it is in the comics, Custer's Grove, Georgia. This was named after General George Armstrong Custer, the headstrong cavalry captain that led his people to being massacred at Little Bighorn. In the comics, John Walker has similar bravado, eventually becomes unhinged and creates a disaster, just like Custer. Custer's Grove is especially notable in the comics because it's where John's parents were murdered. This sends John off on a killing spree that leads to the government taking away the Captain America title. So, I'm not optimistic about John Walker's wife, Olivia.
You're thinking, people gonna die?
Walker's sidekick is Lamar Hoskins, who, in the comic, begins as Walker's sidekick Battlestar. But after Walker becomes Cap, he wore the uniform of Bucky. There's a hint of that here because you see him wearing the blue tactical suit beneath his armor, and that's Bucky's collar in the MCU. I think it's interesting that as soon as the government gets control of Captain America, the first thing they do is turn him into a propaganda tool. Again, the marching band even plays a rearrangement of the Star-Spangled Man with a Plan from First Avenger. And of course, there are products, toys, very reminiscent of American propaganda during the Gulf War, where kids could play out the war at home with video games, toys, and trading cards. Heck, I still have my set of Operation Enduring Freedom trading cards. Now this is all great because it shows the MCU government doing everything the real military does in real life, just blown up on a wider, more visible scale. Walker's uniform is actually modeled on the one Steve Rogers wore when he stopped being Captain America. But later, Walker would wear this costume as the hero U.S. agent. And alright, look, okay. Disney owns Marvel, Disney owns ABC, and Disney owns...
Good morning, America!
We get it. Corporate synergy. Now this line also has a subtle double meaning. In the comics, John Walker is an ultra-right-wing conservative. Now when Ronald Reagan ran for re-election in 1984, his motto was...
It's morning again in America.
Now, I don't know if a Disney Plus show is going to dive into politics and talk about Walker's political beliefs, but they are trying to subtly tie him into a certain image of America. The Norman Rockwell, Red State, Aw Shucks, Apple Pie, Morning in America kind of hero. It's signaling to the American people, hey, we know things have been weird, the world's been upset, but don't worry. We are returning to normalcy, the old America that you used to know. This is your Captain America. When Bucky watches the John Walker announcement, we see that he's sleeping on the floor, revisiting this conversation from Winter Soldier.
When I was over there, I sleep on the ground, use rock for pillows like a caveman. Now I'm home, lying in my bed, and it's like...
lying on a marshmallow.
During his interview, Walker name drops Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, and we see him training with the shield. Now, this was actually a big part of his arc in the comics. It took him a long time to master the shield, and he actually had to learn from one of Cap's villains, the Taskmaster, who is going to appear in Black Widow. Now, this next Easter egg is going to be one of the keys of this series, I believe. In the books, John Walker has super strength that was given to him by the Power Broker, the same villain that's chasing down the Flag Smashers. And Walker seems to handle himself really well in a fight, so I'm wondering if he secretly has superpowers and the government hired the Power Broker to augment John Walker. But they're keeping that a secret for reasons that I'll explain in a minute. I am loving Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all of the new Marvel and Star Wars content on Disney+. But did you know that there's a new feature on Disney Plus called Star that lets you access mature content like Family Guy, Planet of the Apes, or the Alien franchise? But Star is only available if you live in the UK, Europe, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. What? But not in Wakanda, because that country is make-believe. So if you don't live in any of those countries and you don't want to travel there, there's a cheaper solution. Get NordVPN, the sponsor of this week's video. Nord has thousands of super fast servers all over the world, so you're able to register your IP address from another country where you can watch R-rated content on Disney+. If you are interested, go to nordvpn.com/screencrush to get a huge discount off a 2-year plan, and use the code ScreenCrush to get an extra month for free. And if you find out the service isn't right for you, no pressure, there's a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Lots of other streaming sites offer different programming in different countries. Using NordVPN is the best way to get your money's worth out of all your streaming services. It's like adding free streaming sites on top of the ones that you're already paying for. Again, visit nordvpn.com/screencrush or use the code ScreenCrush to get your free month, or click the link down in the description. Back to the Easter eggs. Sam mentions the big three.
The big three.
What big three?
Androids, aliens, and wizards.
Referencing, well, I guess every big threat so far.
How do you know about Gandalf?
I read The Hobbit.
in 1937 when it first came out.
Now, Bucky says he read The Hobbit in 1937, but here's the thing. That book was released in Europe in 1937 and America in 1938. So, James Buchanan Barnes must have been such a huge fantasy fanatic that he tracked down this hot fantasy book that he read about in the zines. And before you say that he got the years mixed up, remember, Bucky don't forget.
I remember all of it.
Someone should really tell him there's been a massive Hobbit sequel release since he was a pawn of Hydra.
Stupid fat Hobbit.
He could really use a pop culture catch-up book like the one Steve had. Now, this kind of pop culture discourse serves a few purposes. One, it endears these characters to the fans, because hey, they're talking about pop culture just like us.
She could have taken out Thanos on her own if he hadn't initiated a blitz.
But it also explains concepts to us, like time travel and Endgame.
Star Trek, Terminator, Time Cop, Time After Time, Quantum Leap, Wrinkle in Time, Somewhere in Time,
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Or the sitcom reality in WandaVision. Here it's telling us that regular people, disconnected from the adventures and skybeams, really have no idea what's actually happening. All they know is that their lives are being controlled by larger forces, like robots, aliens, and wizards. So the regular people will do anything to feel like they have control, like joining a terrorist group, or by getting behind a new symbol like Captain America. When they're flying to Germany, a country with some rough memories for Bucky and Sam, they argue in the plane about having a plan.
So no plan.
This echoes a similar conversation that Tony and Steve had in the Avengers.
We need a plan of attack.
I have a plan. Attack.
Bucky reminds Sam of his new nickname.
It's actually White Wolf.
In the comics, White Wolf is the name of the head of Wakandan's secret police, but in the MCU, it's what the school children called Bucky. And it's what this guy calls himself. They have tracked down the Flag Smashers led by Karli Morgenthau. She's a gender-swapped version of Karl Morgenthau from the comics, who was the villain called Flag Smasher. His goal was to end the concept of nations just like Karli, but for him, it was a solo mission, motivated by the death of his father. Something tells me Karli's going to have a sympathetic backstory as well. I'm guessing that they're stealing this serum to make as many people superpowered as possible, like Syndrome in The Incredibles.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
Now this is going to put her goals at odds with Baron Zemo, who wants to end all enhanced individuals.
Did you really think I wanted more of you?
So, Sam and Bucky will temporarily be forced to work alongside Zemo, until...
I'd take a deal and then crawfish and drill that old devil in the ass.
And oh god, how awful was the sound when she broke Red Wing. I like how the show is giving us parallels between Steve and John Walker. For instance, they're both anxious before their public debuts, but something is just a little bit off about this guy. Wizard69 on Twitter pointed out that one of the Flag Smashers trucks has a license plate MK-A5012. In the comics, the Steve Rogers of Earth 5012 is dead, just like we are led to believe in this show. And later on, he also caught that Zemo's cell number is 2187. Victoria Tano on Twitter pointed out that 2187 was the name of Princess Leia's cell in Star Wars A New Hope.
2187, you go and get her.
Both good catches, thanks for that.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
John Walker drops into the high-speed chase and he's using a pistol. Now, of course, Steve did use guns in the war, but this is more similar to when Bucky became Cap in the comics. It's a neat visual way of showing that this Captain America is different. They ask him,
You ever jump on top of a grenade?
a callback to Skinny Steve in First Avenger.
Get away! Get back!
On the way home, Sam reminds Bucky about the events of Civil War.
Sharon was branded enemy of the state, and Steve and I were on the run for 2 years.
Now, Bucky didn't have to go through those 2 years because he was in Wakanda, although he has spent a lot of time on the run as a fugitive. He also name-dropped Sharon Carter, foreshadowing that she'll soon appear in the show. I know a lot of you are going to ask me about these flyers, so we did some Google translating. This one says, "We buy old cars. We get rid of pests and have auto problems? Call Hank now." And this one is a tongue-in-cheek reference to your favorite DC hero. This is your mom. Karli is being chased by the Power Broker. My guess is they didn't steal vaccines, they stole super soldier serum. In the comics, the Power Broker is a businessman who's like the Viagra of the superhero world. He gives people male enhancement for a price. The show seems to be saying that he's been at this since the 1950s.
He was a hero. One of the ones that Hydra feared the most, like Steve. We met in 51.
If by met you mean I whooped your ass.
So let's talk about Isiah Bradley. In the comics, he was part of a World War II top-secret government program that tried to replicate the super soldier serum on black soldiers against their will. Now this again is taken from real life, where the Pentagon used black soldiers as guinea pigs in World War II, and that's just the stuff they admit to. This was all part of the brilliant series The Truth, Red, White, and Black, which showed Bradley donning the uniform of Captain America to shut down a Nazi human experiment lab. In the comics, Bradley was imprisoned for stealing Cap's uniform, just like he was imprisoned in the MCU.
They put my ass in jail for 30 years.
Now, just like in the show, he lives a quiet life, withdrawn from the spotlight. But in the comics, he's famous in the black community for his achievements. Now, there are a few key differences here. We already knew the government was trying to replicate the super soldier serum. That's the origin of the Abomination and the Hulk.
So this Dr. Banner was trying to replicate the serum they used on me?
A lot of people were.
In the comics, there actually was a replacement Cap in the 1950s. William Burnside, a Steve Rogers fanboy who would go on to lose his mind to become a villain. I'm guessing that Isiah and the other test subjects were augmented by the Power Broker way back in the 1950s. Isaiah's experiments will come full circle when Sam takes the shield and is fully recognized as Captain America. The Power Broker will also have some connection to Hydra. Maybe he even gave Bucky his abilities and was working for both sides. Now, Doug actually had a theory on who this could be, didn't you, Doug?
I believe that the true villain of the series is Arnim Zola. He worked for Project Paperclip and for Hydra, so he could have been developing a super soldier serum for both sides. In the comics, Zola exists as an AI in a robot body, and we have already seen his AI form in the Winter Soldier.
Wow, Doug, great point. And Sam did say the big three included robots. So, we're calling it. Zola is the new Mephisto.
And he's been behind everything all along.
Thanks for that observation, Doug.
Doug would like a treat now because he is a good boy.
No treats for Doug.
Now Doug is sad.
And by the way, the kid who answers the door is Isaiah's grandson, Eli, who, in the comics, is the superhero patriot, leader of the Young Avengers. Now, we made a whole video about this, but Wanda's kids from WandaVision, Cassie Lang from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Kate Bishop from the Hawkeye series are all members of this team. And also, just like in the comics, Steve didn't know about Isiah Bradley. I also like that Isiah lives in Baltimore and not in Harlem like every other black character in Marvel Comics.
It's Baltimore, gentlemen. The gods will not save you.
The racial profiling scene was all too real and foreshadowed by this conversation.
My daddy told me it's Black Falcon.
Is it because I'm black and I'm the Falcon?
Well, technically, yes.
Because, unfortunately, people see race before they see the hero. This series is about Sam overcoming that perception. So he won't be the black Captain America, he'll be Captain America. The episode ends with Mozart's Requiem playing as we are reintroduced to one of Cap's all-time greatest villains from the comics, Zemo. Get hyped.
Death means nothing to me. I have evolved my body over the years.
Wait to be in the show? Well, that's all the Easter eggs that we found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Arey.